Good morning, everybody. Washburn County District Attorney Aaron Marcoux is my very special guest today, Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. We're streaming today's show live on our Dryden Wire Facebook page as well as on our Dryden Wire YouTube channel, I think. So however you are watching, welcome and thank you for joining us. Looking ahead to next week, on Tuesday, Sheriff Fitzgerald is off, so businessman, attorney, and former Wisconsin Assembly Representative Adam Jarchow will be filling in for Fitzy on our weekly Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy show. On Wednesday, I'll be chatting with Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice candidate Judge Doro, I believe is how you say the name. And then on Thursday, so 1 week from today, Congressman Tom Tiffany will be on for his monthly Breakfast with Tiffany show chat. But today, we welcome back to the show a friend of the show, and my brother in Christ, Washburn County District Attorney Aaron Marcoux. Aaron, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good, Ben. How are you doing?
Pretty well. I had to think about it. It's cold, but that's all right. I'll take that. No snow. It's either one or the other, right? It's either a whole bunch of snow or it's really cold. I don't know. Which would you prefer, cold or snow?
I prefer cold. It makes more ice for ice fishing. But Alexa told me it was 13 degrees this morning, so I thought it was a heat wave.
Is it 13 degrees? I haven't even been outside yet. It's a little chilly. And good morning, Renee. Yeah, so it was interesting. About 10 minutes before I sent you the link to join the show, I realized I have no idea what we're talking about today. I asked you to come on, and I don't really know why, actually, just because I haven't chatted with you in a while. But, you know, we could start with Governor Evers gave his State of the State address a couple of weeks ago. So maybe we should just have you on every year around this time and do kind of a State of the District Attorney's office. I don't know if that's a thing, but we're making it a thing now. So for citizens of Washburn County, you're speaking to them. What is the State of the District Attorney's office in Washburn County right now?
Well, I think things are going pretty good at the office. We still have all the staff that we've had. I think last year we got a new assistant district attorney, Christian Ness. Other than that, the staff is the same. It's been the same for a long time. Everyone works really well together. Can't complain about that. We've maintained really good relationships with the clerk of court's office. You know, Shannon Anderson and Anya, and they have a new person over there, Haley. So she's doing traffic. So that's been, fun getting to know a new person. Stephanie Valella worked really closely with diversion programming, criminal justice programming. So everything's going pretty good. We're actually starting to undertake a study. What we noticed over the last year or so, 2 years, is that the numbers have been going down. The arrest rate's been going down. The criminal charging filings have been going down. So what we're really hoping to be able to do is to issue a statement, maybe next year at the State of the District Attorney's Office speech. I'll be able to say, hey, the programs that we're using are actually working, and we actually have a community that is safer than it was last year. That's really what we'd like to be able to say, but we haven't gotten all the numbers in. We haven't dug into the numbers, so we don't know exactly what it is. We just know that the numbers are down, and hopefully that's a good thing.
You referenced diversion programs, and I know because you've been on before, and I think back even when we were still doing in-studio stuff, this was like pre-COVID, I think you came in, I think maybe even Dad was there co-hosting that one. I can't remember. I think he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had talked about that too. I think we even asked you, this is like when you first became the district attorney, and you had talked about diversion programs, and you just referenced Stephanie Valella. I think my mom had her on a Diane's Kitchen show, one of her recorded shows when she used to do the Diane's Kitchen episodes. I can't remember much about her, but that's her own title, or I don't know her title, but you said that's a part of the diversion program. So you work closely. Is it with her or her office? Is it an office or a department?
Well, she's a department of one. She's a criminal justice coordinator. So she can't really be like under any particular office, right? Because she can't answer to the district attorney or the judge or whatever it would be, because it's her job to implement the programs based on evidence-based decision-making models and protocols. So she kind of answers, I guess, to the General Criminal Justice Council, which is a subcommittee of the county board. Now, if that didn't put everyone back to sleep at 8:30 in the morning, I don't know what
Uh,
will. But so there's the county board, right? The county board has a subcommittee, which is the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. It's where all the players in the game, the sheriff, Department of Human Services, the county clerk, the public defender's office, the clerk of courts, the district attorney's office, other law enforcement agencies, we all get together and we say, where do we want the criminal justice system to go? Because this is a big ship, right? It turns very slowly. It's not an automatic thing. So we get together and we use all of our different expertises from all the different disciplines to try and attack the problems that we're able to identify in the criminal justice system. For a long time before the pandemic, we had an epidemic of methamphetamine, right? We used to talk about that all the time. Well, that has slowly transitioned into heroin and fentanyl, and we still have a massive problem with that. Washburn County, I think if I recall correctly, had 5 overdose deaths the first month of this year. That's a massive statistic for a small county like Washburn, right? So we're looking at that and trying to identify what is happening, what can we do, because that's not just a criminal justice issue. Although possession of those drugs is illegal, distribution of those drugs is illegal, so that involves the criminal justice system. This is a public health issue. This is an addiction issue. This is something that we all need to come together to address.
I want to circle back here real quick. You had talked about the case. Did you say cases were down? Was that the right terminology? Okay.
Yeah, charging cases were down, referrals are down.
What would you contribute that to?
I'm hoping that it's the fact that our programs are working and that we have less crime taking place in Washburn County. So that's naturally going to result in less cases. I'm hoping that it's things like our OAR diversion court, where we're working with people to get their license back so they're not getting pulled over, generating more crimes, and they're going on leading a productive life. I'm hoping that it's our domestic abuse intervention program, that when we take people and couples who get into domestic disputes, that they go and get assessed by a counselor and take anger management classes, and that they're getting in less of those arguments, using up less of their community's resources. I'm hoping that it's our drug court that's putting the high risk, high needs individuals into intensive programming coupled with therapy and probation, so that we make sure that they're actually being rehabilitated while they're in the community, out creating less crime, reducing recidivism. Reduced recidivism means less cases.
That's what I'm so glad you brought that up, because in my mind, I'm thinking of all the things you're talking about, a lot of this stuff isn't about new cases, because you're always going to have those, a first-time offender kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. But it seems like a lot of these are going to be, let's say it was a new, somebody was, let's just use an example. What would that be? What is a common case that a drug or a diversion program would come into play? What's a common one, or one of the most common?
First-time offenders for possession of THC, marijuana, cannabis, whatever you call it, right? So we're talking usually 17 to early 20s. They get caught. A lot of times it can be a local, it can be someone passing through, but let's say it's a local kid, college kid coming back from college, and he's got a bag of marijuana and he's smoking with his friends. So what do? Do we take this kid who's never been in trouble before, give him a conviction that's going to affect his ability to get student loans, who's going to affect his ability to stay in college, force him to move back with mom and live off the system? Or do we give this guy an education course and marijuana awareness program, which we have, and they take this several-hour online course and they learn about the negative effects of marijuana, the facts of how it leads into other drugs and what it can do. We educate them, and then we put them back out into the world and see what happens. The majority of times, those individuals are low risk. They're what we call in the system self-correcting. So they made a mistake, but if you stay out of the way, they're going to fix themselves. So do we take that person who's low risk and put them in jail? And I think we've talked about this before. We take a low risk person, we put them in jail with a whole bunch of high risk people. Is that going to make the high risk people lower risk, or is it going to make the lower risk higher risk?
Yeah, probably the latter.
Right? So we give them education. We give them programming. We tell them, hey, open your eyes. This isn't the best way of living your life, is it? If it is, fine. Maybe you should consider moving out to Oregon or Colorado. Maybe Wisconsin's not the place for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
While we have the ones that we have. But, typically we don't see those guys again. And in fact, Jerusha pulled the numbers last on THC, and I think that our THC referrals are down over 50% in the last 2 years.
Now, a referral is
law enforcement, right? So law enforcement arrests somebody or sees somebody on the street with it. They write a report. They refer it to the district attorney's office for charges.
Got it.
In Hollywood, right, the police officers charge people with things. That's not the way it works in the real world.
Right.
Police officers refer to the DA for charges. So those are the referrals I'm talking about. Law enforcement reports, law enforcement referrals. And I think we're down over 50% in the last 2 years of that. And we've been pushing on this THC marijuana awareness program pretty hard. And on the outward face of it, it appears to be working. But we got to dig a little deeper and make sure that that's actually the case before we can report to the public that that's what it is. I think it's irresponsible to just go out and say, hey, we have these numbers and it sure looks like we're doing a great job, which I think it is. And I think that's what it's going to be. But until we dig into it, I can't promise that.
Does law enforcement support this? Because there's this dichotomy or this duality, this relationship between district attorney's office and law enforcement. And, both me personally and Drydenwire, we support both, of course, because it's all a part of, the system, how everything works. But there are times where district attorney's office, not unique to Washburn County, we're talking all district attorney's offices across the state and country, I'm assuming, where they sometimes struggle with law enforcement in terms of we wanted this and why are you bringing all this stuff? And then vice versa. Sometimes law enforcement looks at DA's offices and how come we not charging more for these things? We arrested, put the time, energy, and effort into it, but yet you're not actually taking this to trial. So far, 50% down about, you had said, regarding just marijuana referrals. Is that right? Or charges? Was it referrals 50% down?
Yep, referrals.
Okay, so when those things do come, is this kind of supported by law enforcement, or are they the ones going to you saying, hey, dude, seriously, enough with the drug prevention or diversion programs, lock the dude up?
It's different. Different law enforcement officers, different law enforcement agencies has different responses. Sometimes there's law enforcement officers who take their cases very, very seriously, and they feel that everything that they do should result in a conviction because I have a set of books that's actually right behind me. These are all the laws of the state of Wisconsin. And if it's written in those books, then it needs to be enforced, and it needs to be enforced with every bit of power that the state of Wisconsin has. There's some validity to that argument. I don't disagree with that argument wholly or entirely, but the promise I made to the citizens of Washburn County when I became district attorney is that I was going to do everything that I could do to have a safer, healthier community.
And that's the virtue of this, right?
Yeah,
that's the virtue.
That I have. I don't go to bed at night and sleep better because I have an extra set of convictions. I don't keep track of my convictions. That's not how I work. That's not what I care about. What I care about is Washburn County safer, healthier today than it was yesterday? Do we have a plan to make tomorrow healthier and safer than it was today? And what we've come to know over the last several years is that this evidence-based decision-making model is the best way to do that. We've gone with the hammer and the stick for the last 250 years, and it hasn't worked. Right? We talked about this when I was on a couple months ago with Brian Cole. Yeah. You have to get to the root of people's issues and their problems if their life is going to change. And if they're criminals, changing their life means changing that criminal mentality, changing those thoughts, those antisocial friend groups, those antisocial peers that they have, changing their outlook on life, their employment, addressing their mental health, addressing the issues in their life. That's the only way that anything's ever going to get better. Listen, my perspective is we are always going to have work in the justice system. We're not going to be able to work ourselves out of work. So why not just do the best that we possibly can instead of processing the same thing in and out? Because those same things that you say, hey, arrest them, throw them in jail, do that. Well, we just take that person, and then we're constantly doing the same thing to the same person over and over and over again, which is why this evidence-based decision making, what they call is, has a counterintuitive response, which is we actually need to take the money and the time and the effort and address the high risk, high needs individuals. The low risk, like I said, they tend to correct themselves. So we should just get out of their way and let them fix themselves. The medium to high risk people are the ones we need to work with because they're the ones we see over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again. They're the ones that consume our resources. They're the ones that are reason we have so many cases that we have to plea bargain things out instead of taking things to trial because we have too much work. Like I did a training with the law enforcement just a couple of weeks ago, and we have about 300 criminal filings a year in the county of Washburn. Could you imagine what kind of justice system we would have to have if we tried every single one of those cases?
Mm.
How many DAs we would have to have? How many judges we would have to be able to do 300 trials a year? Like that would be astronomical. You want big government, that's the way to go.
Boy, I had a brilliant question for you. Of course, I
Yeah,
can't remember what it is now.
I kept talking and blew it right out of your mind.
No,
Sorry.
it just, oh man, it was about oh, so obviously we were just talking about that you were on with us, I think, the first time when we were still in studio, so that was at least 3 years ago. How long have you been the DA in Washburn?
July 2019. So we're going on 4 years.
Okay. And you had talked about starting this stuff, and I'm assuming you started a lot of this, or started implementing a lot of this diversion program and this evidence. Sorry, what did you call it?
It's evidence-based decision making.
Sure. Now, you said that you really need to kind of look at these numbers more and make sure that this is the reason that you're seeing fewer XYZ cases coming in. But is this one of those? It's been 3.5 years now. This is likely to be because of that. Because in the first year, we don't really know, because obviously if you have someone a drug diversion program or any diversion program to try to help them, it's going to be, you can't wait like 6 months and see if it's working. It's got to be several years before you can find out. When do you think you will have a, okay, this is working moment? Is it about now, 3.5 years into this? Or man, we won't really know for like a decade.
So recidivism is typically defined as not committing another crime or felony within 3 years of your previous offense.
Okay.
So I think 3 years is the beginning mark of when you can really start to analyze the data and see whether or not you're having a positive.
Okay, and that's where you are right now, right? Just over 3 years, and it's okay. Now we can finally start to look at it a little bit, and obviously each year going forward, we'll know a lot more.
Exactly.
Got it. I wanted to touch on a couple things I also wrote down. We had Eric Toney on. He's a district attorney in Fond du Lac County, and he's also the president of District Attorneys Association. I think, if that's a thing, I think it is.
Yep, WDAA, Wisconsin District Attorneys Association. I'm actually a member of the legislative committee for that organization.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
When did you become a part of that?
2 years ago.
Okay, well then you can speak to this very well then. And he was talking about two things, so I wanted to get your opinion and views on that. The first one was prosecutor pay, about it needs to go up. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, are you offering me more money? Because that's really hard to say no to.
Right. That's what I told Eric too. I think he was on with Fitzy and I. I'm like, okay, so you're advocating for, more money for yourself. Got it. Who wouldn't?
Well, actually, in the end, that will be true. But what we're advocating for at this point in time is more money for assistant district attorneys and deputy district attorneys. The district attorney pay, like my pay as a district attorney, Eric's district pay as a district attorney, is set by statute. The legislature sets that, and it can only be amended every 4 years when the elected official runs. Now, there's reasons for that. We're part of the executive branch. My guess is that if the executive branch were to give us a nice, healthy pay raise, we would be more inclined to support that executive to stay in office. So we get a raise potentially every 4 years. Sometimes we don't get a raise, and we go another 4 years at the same rate. Now, that gets kind of painful when you have like what we've had the last couple of years of 20-25% inflation. Well, that really accounts to a 25% pay cut for us. But that's not what we're here to talk about right now. What we're saying is is assistant district attorneys and deputy district attorneys. We have so many positions that are open right now. There's a study that came out that said public defenders are 20% down on their staffing as well. And it's for the same reason. $26 an hour is what an attorney is getting paid to start to work for the state of Wisconsin. Now, $26 an hour seems like a pretty good job, but that also comes with an average of $200,000 in student loan debt to get the degree that is required in order to have that job. Now, let's do the math. It doesn't take very long before you start to not be able to live a pretty good life.
Yeah, the year salary, just based on 40 hours a week, that would come to $54,000 a year. And, I think at one point, $50,000 a year was kind of always if I made 50 grand a year, I'd be doing okay. I think those days are long gone now. But then again, like you had said, you throw in 200 grand worth of loans, and that's holy buckets. And
Right.
You could argue that, they shouldn't get paid more, and that's perfectly fine. If that's your point of view, and it's, all right, whatever. But the problem is I've already pointed out, we can't hire these people because they can go into the private sector and make 3 times that in their second year. So what was the reason for even going into it? And I think maybe even more importantly, I know that, where's my button? Dave Wilson always talks about retention. It's really hard you get an ADA and like, okay, great. They're just out of college. They're good. They went in and they're an ADA and they're getting their $54,000 a year. And then, all of a sudden a better offer comes up in 2 years and now you have to start all over again.
Well, I can tell you right now, this is the honest to God truth. I would take an approximate 5% pay increase from the job I have right now if I went and drove semi-truck for Walmart. Yeah, that's the reaction I was looking for. Yes, that's the truth. You can go online, look it up, look at what they make, look at what the district attorneys make. They make about $5,000 more a year than I do.
Do DAs make the same amount no matter what county?
No.
Okay, it's like sheriffs. That's a little bit different, yeah.
Yeah, so like Barron County is big. There's tiers in the statute. I think it's like 14,000 and under, and then 14,000 to 40,000.
Citizens.
Yes, citizens in the county, because in theory, the more citizens, the more statistical crime there's going to be. The more crime, the bigger the office, the more work, the more administration, the more everything that comes with it. But you brought up a point when you rang that bell with Wilson about retention. The entire reason the state of Wisconsin 30, 40 years ago went to this model of having in-house state counsel as district attorneys and formed the public defender's office was for retention, so that you had experienced attorneys staying in their positions in both sides of the aisle, so that people's constitutional rights were protected, so that the administration of law was more evenly applied and accurately applied in accordance with the Constitution. Now, the reality is, do you want you go to college at 18, you get your bachelor's at 22, you go to law school at 25. We're talking about people coming out at 25 years old. Do you want those people with 25 years of life experience making decisions in homicide trials?
Yeah.
Is there some people that can handle it? Sure, there's a couple geniuses out there that can do it. But where do they have the experience? Where do they have that stuff, right? And then you get to a point where I've been in this business for well over 10 years now, and I still don't make the same amount as a Walmart truck driver.
You're in the wrong profession.
It sure feels that way sometimes.
Right.
This is why the Dodge County District Attorney's Office has no attorneys in it right now.
I saw that. What?
They have a 4-branch judicial system, 4 courts, no district attorneys. One is on maternity leave, but do you think that she's going to come back, or she's going to take a job offer in a neighboring county for more money and less work when you come into that mess? I mean, come on. What more do we have to say? These positions aren't getting filled. They're vacant across the state, both sides of the aisle. There's a problem. The Supreme Court said under $100 an hour is unreasonable pay. And the public defender's office came back and said, okay, then we'll raise our rates from $40 an hour to $70 an hour. Didn't we say anything under 100 is unreasonable? Yeah, well, 70 is what we're going to do. Well, now they've got a 20% shortage in staff attorneys, and they have private bar attorneys that aren't taking cases. So we have people who are sitting in jail, which is going to be our next topic, right? Is going to be bail and bail reform.
Yeah.
We have people sitting in jail longer, weeks and weeks, if not months, because they can't get an attorney to even show up to one of their hearings.
Yeah, something fundamentally wrong with that. Why is Washburn County, before we get to the cash bail thing here, why is Washburn County seems to be, you had said at the very beginning, state of the district attorney's office, staffing wise, we're doing fine. We have a full-time DA, we have a full-time ADA, and you have, what three, is it 3.5? Three full-time
Yes.
and a part-time in terms of support staff? So
Correct.
you're full. It's going, what's that?
And the victim witness coordinator, who works with our office, but not
Right.
technically for us.
Sure. So Washburn County is looking around at everyone else going, what do you, I don't know why, what you guys' problem is. We're fine. Why is Washburn County okay?
Well, I can say for the last 3.5 years that I've been here is Washburn County is willing to recognize the merit of their employees, and the employees in this office are phenomenal. I cannot. I've been in public defender's office covering 3 different counties. I've been an assistant district attorney, and when I came here, one of the greatest blessings truly was my staff, the staff of the clerk of court's office, everybody that works on this second floor. They're like a family. They care. They work together. It's not backstabbing and drama and all that other stuff. That they
So
don't
no
turn
fun is
it.
basically what I'm hearing. It's no fun.
Well, it's not a soap opera, anyways, and that I appreciate. You know,
Yeah.
we all have our moments for sure, but it's just good, and the county is a good place to work for. And I like to think that I've brought a good working environment for the people that are here as well. I understand that they have life. I understand that they have needs, and that the district attorney's office and our job, right? Like, we work to live. We don't live to
Mm.
work, right? The
Mm.
job that we have isn't the be all end all. I've got 6 children at home. That's my life.
Yeah.
That's what I care about. I come to work sometimes to get away from them, but most of the time it's to be able to provide for them.
Yeah. I think sometimes
Right?
that's why Drusha still likes going to work there. Like you did during COVID, it was the remote, stuff. I think there's like going on cycles, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that your boss would be fine if you, didn't feel comfortable going back. She's like, no, I'll go back. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. So cash bail was another thing that came up. This is supposed to be on the ballot in April as a question to everyone that goes to vote. A question that's going to be on there. But I think as of yesterday, now it may not be. Somebody's suing them because it wasn't filed in time or at the right place. But I'm just assuming it's still going to be on there on April 4th. But the question is brought up regarding cash bail. And this is going to amend the Wisconsin Constitution. So it's a big deal. And this has been in the works for 2 years. It has to go through 2 years of cycles, or 2 budget cycles, or 2 something like that. So we've finally gotten to this point, and essentially this is just going to be that judges now will be able to take into consideration several more things when it comes to setting cash bail. Are you in favor of this from a district attorney's office standpoint? Do you like this? Do you wish judges had more autonomy, more ability to consider other factors when setting cash bail?
I think in reality, the court has quite a bit of discretion and the ability to consider other factors. It usually kind of gets limited in this case law that says the primary purpose of cash bail is to ensure the defendant's return to court.
Mm-hmm.
So, and defense attorneys raise that every single time. Hey, the only reason you're supposed to put cash on somebody in the state of Wisconsin is if you have a reasonable belief that they might not show back up. Now, they need to take into account the severity of the crime, the danger to the public, the strength of the state's case, even at that initial moment, the defendant's prior criminal history, their prior appearances in court, failures to appear. Now, I typically address as much of that as I possibly can at a bond hearing anyways, but yes, I 100% support this. I think that the judge needs as much information as they can to make an educated decision, again, what I've said from the very beginning is I am here for a healthier, better community, a more protected community. And the fact is there are just times when we need to protect our community from an individual, and it needs to be done when when that iron is hot, right? When that thing is red hot, when it right happens. Statistically, you look at murderers, they have the lowest recidivism rate of any other criminal. People that kill tend not to kill more than once. Should
Really?
they be out on a signature bond? Because they're not going to commit any more
No.
crimes, right? No, you wouldn't think about doing that because the crime is so grave. What was done was so important. The danger to the community is so high, even though technically they're probably not going to commit another crime, that you say, no, cash bail. We want to make sure that this person's coming to court. We want to make sure the justice system is on top of this case, right? Well, we need to do the same thing with domestic abusers. We need to do the
Mm.
same thing with people who are violent against the people that they have been sworn to protect. Those are the most dangerous criminals statistically that we have are domestic abusers. Those are the things that we need to address. Yeah,
What?
you look at lethality assessments, and which we have our law enforcements do when it comes to domestic abusers. Those are the ones that tend to commit the most crimes.
No kidding. I
Mm-hmm.
would not have guessed that. Of course, I don't know what I would have guessed, but it wouldn't have been that.
Well, a lot of this stuff is counterintuitive, and our system has not been working as it's been designed for a long time because we designed it based on common sense and logic. And I don't know if
That's
you
where you
know
went
this, but
wrong.
we don't operate on common
Yep.
sense and logic. We operate on emotion.
That's how I like to operate. All right. That's that. I always love learning new stuff. So thank you for that. There's so much more we could talk about regarding the district attorney's office and all of that, but I don't want to forget just to talk to you as a person, as Aaron, not district attorney, but just district attorney Marcoux, just Aaron. So how are things going for you?
Right now we're finishing up the Shell Lake basketball season. As you know, I coach sports
Yeah.
as much as I can for the kids. I
Yeah.
coach middle school football. This year I coach middle school basketball, and then they asked me to take on the C squad, which is the third high school team, like freshman team. So I went in after seventh grade basketball. I went in and started coaching ninth grade basketball. We're about to finish that up. I love working with the kids. There's a great group of freshmen this year, and my son is one of them. So it's a pleasure to coach him and his friends. So I'm super excited about that. Uh, the children are doing well. They're doing well in school. I think they're doing well together. Um, I did have one incident though where my 3-year-old got mad at my 5-year-old because he wasn't letting him pick, and he threw a golf ball through my brand new television. Um,
Oh,
that was a bit frustrating.
frustrating.
Yeah, well, it was a good opportunity to exercise grace and mercy. Let's just put it that way.
Well, hopefully if you can get him into some kind of a diversion program, you can, reduce the recidivism there. And
I wish I could say that, but it's the second time he's done it.
oh boy, see, he needs you need to talk to CJCC and see if we can figure something out there because you got to apply that. Say it should be applicable at home too.
That's great. I never thought about that. I guess we're gonna have to do that. Liz and I will have to sit down and come up with some diversion.
Yeah, yeah. What do you have coming up
Um,
this weekend?
oh, thanks for asking, man. Mountain Men Revival Group is having a revival event at Rice Lake High School tomorrow, starting at I believe it's 5:30. We're having Fat Cow Barbecue, and then we're getting together and we're having a talk, getting together, doing some worship music. We're gonna have talk. We're gonna talk about deliverance, and I am going to give my own personal testimony. And then we got Joe Rogalski, who's going to come up from Texas, and he's going to talk to us about living with no regrets and living with how we're stronger together and his mission work in Haiti and how that's going. Then on Saturday, completely separate event, there is a simulcast of the No Regrets conference out of Milwaukee, and that will take place at the Rice Lake Auditorium as well. Um, I hope a lot of people can come there. It's going to be an opportunity. It's a men's event, so it's an opportunity for men to get together and proclaim and stand in our faith and try and grow as individuals. We want to work to deliver ourselves from the bonds that we have either inherited from our ancestors or put upon ourselves, however it may be, and break those so that we can live free in Christ and live the life that He intended for us.
Amen. And I think I put up a post about that. I think it was like a week or two ago, but I will put that back up after the show, so it'll be on our homepage at redandwhite.com for people who are interested in going there or learning more about it. I think you have to reserve a seat or something, I think.
There is a reservation process so that you can go on and you can reserve seats. Last year, there were about 450 guys that showed up to this event.
Wow.
But don't be discouraged by that. If you come in, we got room. We're going to make room for you, man. This is about growing the church and growing the body of Christ and the bride of Christ. And we ain't turning nobody away, man. We ain't turning nobody away.
Who are the Mountain Men? Or what is the Mountain Men?
All right. So at church about several years ago, we held an event called The Mountain and invited all the men to come. And it was just so men could get together and have an opportunity to be with other men and just talk about what it's like to be a man. Now, I know.
Don't do it. Don't go there.
So sometimes we just need a safe environment for ourselves too, to be able to be free of things, you know,
bet.
And be able to talk. And it's not because we want to rip on people, man. We need to talk to each other about being better men, about being better fathers, about being better husbands, about being what that means and what that looks like.
You know, I'm glad at the very beginning. Oh, yep.
Is it coming back yet? I'm frozen. Looks like I'm about to sneeze there.
It does. I'm taking a screenshot. Hold on. Yeah, sign out, and then just click the button to sign back in. But hold on, let me get a photo first. Got it. Love it. Hold on. I got to make sure I accept. There we go. Hey, we're back.
There?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just saying that I myself, my dad was my mom's second husband, and I love him to death. I named my oldest son after him, right? My name is David Charles Marcoux II. And he was a huge influence in my life. I'm not trying to discredit that, but a lot of us, including myself, grew up in our early lives not having a male influence that showed us what being a real Christian man is. And sometimes we need to learn those lessons later in life, and we need to get together with other Christian men to be able to learn that, so we can be better fathers, we can be better husbands, we can be better men. And that's what this is about. That's what that event was about. From that formed small groups where men said, hey, we need to do more of this. So smaller groups started getting together on a regular basis, and they put this together last year and did the same event where 450 people showed up, different people talking, different testimonies. And this year, Tom Jarity, Brent Welch, and I formed Mountain Men Revival Incorporated, which is a 501(c), which is a formal organization. And our purpose is to put these events on for as long as we can and grow them and continue to grow them and grow them and grow them. We would love to have arena-size events in Eau Claire or Hayward or Ashland or wherever it may be, and continue to grow this movement for God.
I didn't know that you were a part of that. I know before we started the show, you had said that you were going to be going there, but I didn't know that you are a part of the Mountain Men Revival organization.
Yeah. Yep. I am. I'm one of the directors on the board.
Attaboy.
And this is something that I strongly believe in.
Yeah. And you and I, we've been friends for quite a while, and I don't know, our friendship is unique. I mean, we don't call each other every day or text each other every week or go to movies or whatever it is that, people go and do as friends. But we talk, I don't know, maybe like once a month. And when we do, it's for like 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And it is kind of like what you're talking about. I mean, we don't talk like from a district attorney to a founder of a media outlet. That's not the conversation. It's two Christian men talking about our struggles, because a lot of people don't. I think sometimes it's still believed that if you're a Christian, you have to be perfect. Well, we certainly strive for that, but we are subject to sin and to temptations like everybody else does. And it's important to have those conversations with your significant other. Like Josh and I are very open and honest about everything. but it's nice to talk to another Christian man. But what I always find interesting is that after our like 2 hour long conversation that we do like once a month, it seems like one or usually both of us, when we're finished, are kind of offended at the other person and we don't talk for a while. It's really weird. Like, you're the only friend that I have that I hang up. I'm like, whatever, what a jerk. Tell me what to do, I tell you. And then we end up like having a quick conversation a couple days later, go, I really thought a lot about what you had said. But I think that stuff's important because you challenge me and hopefully I challenge you and we have those conversations. And I think that stuff's healthy. There's no judgment. It's, talking about being a man, a Christian in this world, as a husband, as you had mentioned, as a father, as a son, as a brother, as everything. But we also share our successes and things that are going really, really well, which I also think are important. But yeah, there is something about just two Christian guys talking, or in this case, 450 people, guys, being there at this event. There's something unique about that. And I've always appreciated our friendship because of those reasons.
Well, I do too, man. And I got to say, in all honesty, and I have absolutely no problem saying this in front of the entire world, is that I love you. And
I love you too.
I really appreciate the time that you have invested in me and my family and talking us through some of the hard times and sharing some of the good times. Like you said, we don't get a chance to really get out and spend a lot of time together because of our calendars and our schedules and stuff like that. But we can still make time for each other. And to be honest, the Bible says iron sharpens iron, and you're a piece of iron in my life. And you're one of the few people I let speak into my life. And there's times, like you said, where I'm like, man, I didn't like hearing that. I didn't like hearing that. But you know what? It's truth. And sometimes truth hurts, but the truth is the truth. And that's all we can ever strive to really acquire is the truth. And I'm happy and I'm glad and I'm proud to say that I have someone in my life like you that can say those hard things, can call me out when I'm riding an artificial mountaintop, and you can say, hey man, I need to pop your balloon because you need to come back down here. We need friends in our lives that can do that.
Yeah. And again, the feeling is mutual. It's interesting. I'll leave it at interesting, but yeah, there have been many times I have hung up the phone and just been, what a jerk. I'm never talking to that dude again. Telling me what's what. I'll tell him what's what. That's how this works. But no, I am knowing you and our friendship. You make me a better husband, a better man, and a better Christian. So no kidding. I love you too.
Thank you.
All right. So is there anything that we didn't get a chance to talk about now that everyone just got to hear a bunch of mushy stuff about our friendship, which probably didn't necessarily need to get into? Is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't get a chance to?
There's another, I got another kind of speaking engagement coming up in March at the House of Hope banquet in Hayward.
Oh.
It's a benefit for a fundraiser for House of Hope. That's going to be fun. I've been told I'm going to be getting a call to speak with the jail chaplains, and help work with them to get some more ministry inside the jails and work with that kind of stuff. So God's starting to open up some doors for me in some ways that I didn't expect. So I think there might be a new season coming around the corner, and I'm just excited for that. And
yeah, so the good news, this is, some doors are opening and some opportunities. The bad news, it's like, okay. I mean, one, that's a lot of time, energy, and effort, but also, I don't know, maybe I'm just always pessimistic or worried, but it's, things are going well, and all of a sudden this is coming. It's, oh boy, like, two steps forward, one step back, that I feel like something bad's going to happen now.
Well, I agree with you. Honestly, you put yourself out there and you do it in the name of God, and you put a bullseye on your back from the devil. He's not going to.
Oh, I know.
It doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go unnoticed. So yeah, something's going to happen. There's going to be some sort of attack. But the devil's sneaky, man. When he can't attack you directly, he'll attack the ones around you and try and distract you and pull you away from it. And that's no joke. The Bible is very clear that we're not fighting against flesh and blood. It's against principalities, right? Like.
Yep.
So that's what we're dealing with, and it's and it is what it is, and you deal with it, man. You fight through it. Like there's a country song, like just keep your head down, and you might keep going, and the devil might not know you're there. Good luck, but keep going, man. Just keep swimming, as Dory would say.
Yeah, that is a real thing. It's the more you start if you are a person of faith, and the more you stand up for that stuff, it's a wonderful feeling, by the way, standing up for, right is right, wrong is wrong, and my faith and what I believe. And if you believe in something else, that's your business, I guess. But I'm talking strictly about faith in God. Then yeah, Satan loves it when you just you go under the radar. You go ahead and just believe in God if you want to, and do your thing. But boy, as soon as you start going out there and letting people know and starting witnessing, now all of a sudden you have Satan's attention, and sometimes that doesn't go very well. I don't know if I'd always want to be on Satan's radar, but at the same time, it's kind of an honor. If he's attacking me in my life, then I must be doing something right.
Right, exactly. And I wasn't always this way. I was a philosophy major in college. I did not grow up in the church. I did not have belief. It wasn't really until 8 years ago that I started. I mean, I in fifth grade, I remember taking the Bible that my dad had bought me and starting on page 1 and taking notes and writing it down. I was that kind of nerd when I was in school. And I started with the Bible, and I let it all go, and I never got to it. We never went to church. There wasn't any spirituality in my home, and I had a very different walk. And it was about 8 years ago that stuff started to change. And about 5 years ago is when I had my personal encounter with Christ, and my life changed. And now I move forward. Now the purpose of my job is to work through the ideals of Christ and to make a better community and a better society, and to do the things that he wants and he desires. I feel blessed as the Washburn County District Attorney to do my job, because I feel like I'm doing it to advance the kingdom of God and make a better place for everyone. That's why I stay here. That's why I don't go drive truck for Walmart, because I have a feeling that I can do a better job of doing that here than I can behind the steering wheel of a big rig.
Yeah, it's the prayer that I pray every morning. Lord, help me glorify you today, right? Work in my life in order to glorify you. And not saying that you couldn't glorify God as a truck driver. I'm sure there's opportunities there, but probably not nearly as many. Just
right, that I'm aware of. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and next year I'll be driving truck. But if
I'll join
God's
you.
will,
I'll join you. We keep talking about Christ on shows, then we'll get canceled, and then I'll be out of a job. So yeah, we could both. I'll be your shotgun.
I saw you got 5 million hits.
5 million page views last year. Yeah.
I think you're doing just fine, brother.
Well, we'll see. All right, man. Anything else? Anything else that you wanted to make sure you talked about?
No, I just hope you and your family stay blessed, man.
Yeah, Drew should make it to work today. She's making my money.
Yeah, she's holding down both of our forts, brother.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Well, we need to do this a lot more often.
Agreed.
All right. Special thank you to our guest today, Washburn County District Attorney Aaron Marcoux, for taking time to join us for a chat. I'll see you right back here on Tuesday when Adam Jarko will be filling in for Fitzy on our weekly Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy show, followed by Wisconsin Supreme Court Justice candidate Judge Doro on Wednesday. And on Thursday, Congressman Tom Tiffany will be back for his monthly Breakfast with Tiffany show. So until then, for DrydenWare.com, I'm Ben Dryden saying thank you for watching and have a blessed day.